lifers? What up, lifers? What up, lifers? What up, lifers? It's Dave Life. It's Dave Life. You're watching the After Dark podcast. You're watching the After Dark podcast, episode number 299. The number one cause of failed relationships. The number one cause of failed relationships. Let's start this off like we always do, y'all, the right way. Heavenly Father, have your way, Lord. I pray that you would speak to your people. Father, I pray that you would enlighten, entertain, and inform us, Lord. I pray less of me and more of you. Father, I pray that tonight we would have a great conversation. Forgive us of our sins that we've committed both by commission and omission, charged to our heads and on our hearts. I also pray, Lord God, that you get the glory out of this show, out of this season, and out of this podcast. Thank you for everything. Thank you for all these things. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen, amen, and amen. What up, y'all? What up, y'all? What up, y'all? What up, like this? Tonight we're discussing the number one cause of failed relationships. The number one cause of failed relationships. A lot of us have been in relationships before, and I'm sure that you could think of some reasons why they might have failed. Right? I'm sure you can. I want you to think about that tonight. I want you to think about, why do relationships fail? And we're talking about intimate relationships. We're talking about like boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, intimate relationships. It can go on to other ones too, but we're talking about marriage and romance relationships. I'm gonna get some people to help me out tonight, and we're gonna get straight into it. I appreciate y'all for joining us. If you want to support After Dark and the After Dark podcast, you can hit us on Cash App at $DaveLifeTV. It's pinned below. You see that? $DaveLifeTV. You can get us on Venmo at Dave Life. And let's get to the cast of characters, man. We're going to start from the top. I got my brother from another mother. He got on a Atlanta hat. He is a Braves fan, a Falcons fan. My homeboy since high school. Come on to the stage. Big dog, Big Corey G. Big Corey G, what up, man?
Hello, everyone. Hello.
How you feeling, Corey?
How you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. I'm good. You ready for the Super Bowl?
I'm good, man. Is there a delay?
Okay.
Yes and no.
Okay. Your title still says
Falcons not playing.
The Falcons are not playing. Neither are my Chicago Bears, but we're gonna see what happens now. We got a new head coach.
I just want us. No, well, y'all probably have a longer time than we do. The way it's going.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we got Caleb though. Let's see what's up.
But we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, let's talk about that later. All right, I got somebody else that's gonna help us out tonight. This is my brother from another mother. My man, Dr. Impossible. Best friend since college. Come on to the stage, Xenos. Xenos, your title says ENFP. For those that don't know what Myers-Briggs is, please explain that to the people.
That's the personality profile. Is broken up into 4 sections. You're an E and an I. You're an E or I. E, N or S. What is it? T or F. And then the last one is P or J.
If I remember correctly, E is something like I is intuitive. E is
introvert.
I is introvert.
Extrovert. Yep.
Okay, extrovert. What's N?
N is intuitive.
Intuitive. That's right. F.
F is feeling.
Feeling.
Than, thinking.
And thinking.
And P is perception over judgment.
Man, I remember I was an ENTP. ENTP. Oh, yeah. That makes a lot of sense why we compliment each other, man. We're similar but different.
Right.
Cool. Hey, man, thanks for joining the show tonight. I know you got to go a little early, so whenever you got to go, just try to stay on as long as you can. Just if you got to go, be like, hey, Dave, I got to bounce. So thanks for hanging out. I got my sister from another mister. I always say that her thoughts are as deep as the ocean, but they fall like rain. Come on to the stage, Ocean's Rain. What up, Rain?
Hola, hello everyone. Hello, lifers. Hello.
How you feeling, Rain?
I'm feeling well. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling blessed. You know what? We're here. We're still going, and we're gonna keep on going. We're gonna fight the good fight.
Absolutely. And I appreciate you for joining, Rain. I appreciate you for being a part of the show. And hey, we got a special guest in the building. Let me stop the music. Let me turn this down and stop this music.
You already introduced me.
Yeah, sir. So you know what's funny? You my best friend, right? But now I got a new best friend. This is the queen of the house. This is the queen of Dave Life TV. This is my bride. This is my love and touch. My muffin. My baby, Miss Destiny. Come on, Destiny. Hey, baby.
Hey, guys.
I'm gonna put the music back on for you so we can introduce you right. Where's the music at? All right, it ain't coming back. There it is. Hey, baby, how you doing?
Doing well.
Thanks for joining the show tonight. I appreciate you for being here. I want you to get out of lawyer mode, and I just want you to get into. Well, you know what? Maybe this is lawyer mode. But the conversation tonight. Let's bring Big Corey G back up. The conversation tonight is going to be based around the number one cause of failed relationships. Look, man, if y'all want to join the show, last week we had a couple people try to troll. I ain't like that. A couple people tried to troll. And I realized that when you open up the show to the public and they have the link, I didn't notice y'all, but they can actually, if they jump in the back room, they can actually comment in the interior chat of the show. I didn't know that because some people were trying to bully people last week, and I ain't like that. So if I do open this up, I ain't putting up with no trolls. I'm gonna have to block anybody coming here trying to troll. All right, let me see. All right, so if you want to join the show and you haven't got the link, send me a message. I'll send you the link. All right, welcome to everybody that's watching on YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe. Everybody that's watching on Instagram, everybody that's watching on Facebook, come on over to the tube, man. The tube is the best place to watch it. YouTube is the best place because you can see the comments. You can like and subscribe and get all of our shorts and get links to other videos. Okay, cool. Yeah, everybody. I think everybody try to go on mute until we call on you, only because of the feedback. I think we're pretty good for the most part. Corey's mic is giving me a little bit of feedback. All right, you guys. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about relationships. I'm going to give you 3 minutes to respond to the video that I put up. I like the 3 minutes. I know that, you know what? Let's try it a little different tonight. Let's not do the 3 minutes, because the 3 minutes to me, 3 minutes are good, but, it's only 5 of us. So, you know what? Nah, we're going to do the 3 minutes because it's only 5 of us. All right. So as you're going through, if you see this come up at the bottom of the screen in the right hand corner, that just means you got about 60 seconds to wrap it up. It's not anything bad. It's just letting you know to land the plane so that people can have their time on the floor. All right. I have a question for y'all. What do y'all think is the number one cause of relationship failure? In fact, y'all can just give me your top 5 things that can cause relationships to fail. And we're going to go round robin around the room. And we're going to start with Zenos. What are 5 things, just a bulleted list, 5 things that make a relationship fail? Can unmute, Z. Everybody can unmute.
Wow. Okay. 5. Wow, that's a long list. I'm gonna go with selfishness, and selfishness. I'm gonna go with 5 factors of selfishness, because, and the reason why I say that, and I know you're gonna get to the video, but I think everything can be summed into that. I think you just asked for a list, so I won't. Wait, is this my 3 minutes or just the list?
I'll
just do the
list. Just the list.
I'll just do the list. We'll talk.
All right, Rain. Top 5 things that make relationships fail.
So the first one is going to be uncompromisable. They're not willing to compromise at all, which goes along with the selfishness. The second one is the communication has been off balance, but everyone is still in the love phase, so there's no communication. Boundaries have been brand over. Boundaries have been disrespected. Fourth, and I was going to say this as well, like he's selfishness, just being selfish. You're not being considerate. So selfishness and not being considerate. And the last, but the most important, love being lost. And I'll explain later. People love being lost.
Love being lost. Wow. Okay. All right. Big Corey G. Top 5 things that can cause a relationship to fail. One might be your Wi-Fi being
Are you on
frozen.
me now, sir?
Yes, and you're frozen, Corey.
It's from my Wi-Fi.
The silent treatment.
I unplugged everything in. I'm sorry, dog.
Corey, are you on Wi-Fi or are you on the air? Yes, Corey.
Man, I'm on Wi-Fi. I don't plug everything in. I don't know what's going on today. You know what? I'm gonna blame the stars and the moons and the orange crush. You know who I'm talking about? Orange. I'm just blaming everything because I know that I did everything I was supposed to do.
I'm trying to find. I can't even find the right format no more. I was trying. Corey, you were just on pre-show. Clearly, everything was clear. It was clicking. You were coming through loud. It was no jitter.
I'm gonna.
All right, come back, Corey.
Come back. Calm down. I will come back. Can you hear that? Well, I'm coming back.
I heard that, but did something change? All right, come back. Corey's gonna come back. All right, babe. Top 5 things that can cause a relationship to fail.
5 is a long list, but I'll try to hammer them out. So, and this is in no particular order. I would say number 1, like financial issues, like if you guys don't agree on how to spend money, how money's allocated. Number 2, I would say like unmet expectations. So if you go into it thinking one way and you feel like the expectations that you had are not being met. 3, I would say like just plain incompatibility. Probably a lot of things you saw up front that you just kind of ignored for whatever reason. Wow, I just had 4, now I'm drawing a blank. Incompatibility. Number 4, I would say, like if you guys have a lot of like outside influence in your relationship, like, so for instance, like if you're married and you have a lot of like third parties putting their input. So like, if we're married and I'm okay with you, but then I have other people's opinions that are now making me not okay with something that I was initially okay with. So like just that kind of thing that you see in families when you like overly involve people in your marriage. And number 5, I don't know. I'm sure if I had more time to think, I would come up with something. Oh, infidelity probably is like a thing. People that are not able to stick to their vows, commitment, that kind of thing.
Okay. So I heard selfishness. I heard incompatibility. I heard unrealized expectations. And Rain, you had 1 or 2 really good ones. What did I miss that you said?
Love being lost.
Love being lost. Someone else said communication, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So y'all know Dr. Miles Monroe is one of my favorite ministers. I actually met him. I told this story before. I met him when I went to the Bahamas one time. Went to his church, and I said, "Hey, Dr. Monroe, I'm a Christian. I love acting. I love music. I don't know if God wants me to be an actor or should I just work in engineering or what?" And he said, "Are you a believer?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Did God give you the passion for acting?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Go to Hollywood and act." And he said, "We need more Christians in Hollywood. Go." And I was always a little bit like, man, when I was younger, like, what does God want me to do? What does God want me to do? And I learned God put passions in our heart. You know what I'm saying? And you follow your passion and God will course correct you and he'll guide you. He'll lead you. Sometimes we get stuck with like analysis paralysis and we don't make a move. Having said that, Dr. Miles Monroe is one of my favorite ministers. Here is a video from him, and it's really good. Where is it? Here it is. Yeah. There it is. All right, I want to share this. This is what Dr. Monroe said was a major cause, the number one cause of failure in relationships.
Listen to this.
The number one source of failure in marriage is expectations. Expectations. What you don't expect will never disappoint you. I repeat, what you don't expect will never disappoint you. And so the key in relationship is to go after meeting the other person's needs and not expect yours to be met. Because if they are met, then it's a bonus. If they're not met, it doesn't touch your love for the person. Are you with me? Go in to meet their needs, but be prepared not to have yours met, and you'll be happy. Because whenever they meet them, you're shocked. Ah, thank you. Woo, I didn't expect that. Praise the Lord. See, because if you go in just to get yours met, you already begin with problems.
So I think that deserves another play because it's only about a minute, and then we can react.
Listen to this.
The number one source of failure in marriage is expectations.
Expectations.
Expectations. What you don't expect will never disappoint you. I repeat, what you don't expect will never disappoint you.
Let's just start right there because a lot can be said. And I know some people are like, oh, well, you should have expectations. I mean, should you? So does anyone want to go first? Do you agree that he didn't say unrealized expectations? He didn't say unrealistic expectations. He said expectations. Period.
Yeah.
Corey, welcome back. I do think I might need to play this for you just for context. And because it's only four of us on the panel, I want you definitely to hear this. So it'll give us all a chance to hear it one more time.
Listen to this.
The number one source of failure in marriage is expectations. Expectations. What you don't expect will never disappoint you. I repeat, what you don't expect will never disappoint you. And so the key in relationship is to go after meeting the other person's needs and not expect yours to be met. Because if they are met, then it's a bonus. If they're not met, it doesn't touch your love for the person. Are you with me? Go in to meet their needs, but be prepared not to have yours met, and you'll be happy. Because whenever they meet them, you're shocked. Ah, thank you. Woo, I didn't expect that. Praise the Lord. See, because if you go in just to get yours met, you already begin with problems.
All right, let's get a reaction. Let's go. Let me put Rain on the spot. Rain, expectations. What do you think?
So my motto behind that: appreciate everything, expect nothing. Appreciate everything, expect nothing. Because when you're doing a vetting process, you're attempting to find the person that you want, you're vetting. While vetting, there's a process. And if that process includes expectations, you're only looking at potential. You're not looking at what they actually are bringing. So the reality is lost in the potential of what the person is thinking. So if you appreciate everything and expect nothing, that's the beautiful reality of getting the surprise.
You said expect nothing. What was the first? Appreciate everything, expect nothing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. You still got more time if you want to share.
I mean, I think we're just going, I'm just going to go let everyone go around the room. I'm going to follow order tonight.
All right. Xenos, expectations. He said it's the number one cause of failure in relationships. You agree, disagree? Why not?
Well, I think for me, some things have to be laid out, and I guess we can talk about this later tonight. As far as definitions, because it seemed like Rain was talking about an initial start of a relationship or seeking a relationship. And so when I think of a failed relationship as a title, my thought is more of a committed relationship or maybe even a marriage, right? And so from that perspective, I'm going to disagree to a certain extent. Why get married if you don't have an expectation? Like at the end of the day, if you don't expect anything from Destiny and she expects nothing from you, how do y'all even forge a love? How do you even forge connection? How do you even forge understanding? So I disagree. And look, you know me. I'm a church antagonist, right? I'm a Christian, but when it comes to church cute, they have this saying when you go to or when you read a romance book or go to a romance movie, they have something called the meet cute, where the couple meets. I like to call it church cute, where churches say sayings that get you riled up, but it offers you nothing when you go home, right? People expect to eat. People expect to breathe oxygen. People expect to be nurtured. That's the only way to live. So if I'm with somebody and I'm expecting nothing, and I got to be surprised, when my wife says hello. I got to be surprised when we sit down and eat and talk. Come on, man, that's ridiculous. Let me just put that out there.
I'm gonna
The
push
number
back a
one.
little. I'm gonna push
First of
back
all,
a
I
little
will say
bit,
this though, and
but I'm
to
gonna let
back
you
up.
finish.
Expectation of what marriage is, when it comes to marriage, that's the bigger issue, because marriage is one of two things. It's either I'm giving you all of myself, or it's this kind of makeshift, we get along well and we're going to make this work. If you have a wrong expectation of what marriage is, then yes, you will fail. Marriage is, he hinted at this, marriage is about giving of yourself, but expecting the other person to also give of themselves. This little roll the dice and randomly get with somebody and hope they meet my needs, nah, that's called gambling. That's what you do at the casino. You put $200 on black six. Don't expect it to land there, but if it does, jackpot. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that with a long-term relationship.
All right, I definitely have responses, but I'm gonna let Corey and Destiny go first because I have a response to that. Corey, expectations.
Yes, I disagree. Everything he said. How I'm not gonna live my life like that. I'm not. I'm not gonna live my life expecting nothing. When I sit on the toilet and I got a boo boo and I expect something to come out, but when nothing comes out, I gotta go to the doctor.
Come on.
So that makes no sense to me not to expect nothing from someone. I'm not living my life like that. How do you have love in your heart when you want love to be reciprocated back? Period. So I can't expect love. That's what he's saying. I can't expect love. That's what I heard. Maybe I might heard it wrong.
I definitely have a comeback.
I don't care. That's fine. You can have a comeback. You can come back, turn around, all that. But if you heard the same thing I heard, he said expect nothing and be surprised.
Mhm.
What?
Yeah, I think there's a key point that y'all are missing, but I'm gonna let
No, I ain't
Destiny.
missing nothing. I'm not
Well,
missing nothing.
I think there's a
As a
key point.
father, as a father,
Hmm.
I expect if I tell my child to do something, I expect him to do it. When your
Hmm.
mama told you to do something, she expected you to do it.
Hmm.
She didn't want to be surprised. She wanted you to do it.
Hmm.
Period.
I think I'm gonna let Destiny go because
Yeah, let me go first.
yeah, because y'all gonna say okay.
So,
Go ahead, baby.
so I definitely agree with Zenos and Corey. Like, if you're listening to what he's saying and you're taking it literally, like, it's wrong. I get like the essence of like what he's trying to get at, like as if like you're married, like yes, you should be serving your spouse. Like even when they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, you put your good foot forward every day and you still serve them, right? Um, but taking it literally, like now we just saw like a snippet, I'm guessing, of what is a small part of a larger sermon. So just going by the snippet, I would disagree with what he's saying. Like, I think the standard is unrealistic expectations versus like expectations. Like, there is going to be some baseline of expectation, right? Like, like Lauren Hill said, like, you know, respect is just the minimal, right? So you like respect is the floor. So if you have no expectations whatsoever, like, okay, so I'm just supposed to like get with someone and pour all of myself into them and not expect anything in return. I think that just going by that premise, like you're encouraging foolish behavior. So I think there needs to be like some baseline of expectation. Like when Dave married me, he is expecting that I'm gonna continue to be a lawyer, right? Like I'm not gonna just be like, oh, I'm married now. Like let me just like the expectation is that if there's going to be a baby, it's going to come through me, like, right? So there's an expectation. So if that just so there is going to be some baseline of expectations in relationships. So I think like to have
Okay.
no expectation is kind of a little
Okay.
silly
Okay.
and
So I just
idealistic.
I want to take back. I want to go back on what I said. So before, and everyone that I've heard, and I'm listening. So as far as what we heard in that little snippet, and definitely what Destiny was saying, and also Zenos and Corey. So when I said appreciate everything, expect nothing, meaning exactly what Zeno said. Expectations should already have their guidelines. There are guidelines that are already hit. There's a target. And if you are not targeting and nailing that target, work on it to get better. But if you are missing your target, that's the miscommunication. But what I'm saying, appreciate everything that's happening along the route, but expect nothing. Some things, that's what I meant by that. So going back. So appreciate everything, expecting nothing is not saying that there's no expectations in the relationship, because when you're married, everyone has expectations.
Yeah, you took vows.
Everyone, not only do we have expectations, but there are things that you are now involving yourself not only with, it's not two people, it's four people. You have a man and his mind and the things that come with him, that he's battling through, that he's going through, that he's processed through, that he's grown through. You've married that person and all of those encompassing. And you've also have a woman who everything that she's been through, that she's grown through all of her relationships. So the expectations have to be realistic. And I agree with all of you. So I just wanted to make sure we understand that part. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's my job to throw a monkey wrench. All right. So I personally feel that we could take the letter of what he said literally and take it like he means there's no expectations. To me, that would be ridiculous because he said marriage, and we all know marriage are vows, and we know marriage is a covenant, and we know marriage is an agreement. At the very least, you guys are saying what you promise you'll do, which if you promise, someone could have an expectation. But I think what we need to do is think about what he's talking about. He's talking about having a position of, I don't expect anything from you. I'm not entitled. He's talking about, I'm having a servant's heart and I have a heart of service, and I'm not looking for you to be transactional. Because I can play another video, which I just might do because it applies. And it talks about transactional and how some people see everything in life as a transaction, even in a relationship. And if you have a transactional type of love, which means, I'm not washing the dishes because you didn't fold the clothes, or I'm not loving on you because you didn't get home on time, or I'm not, whatever, right? It's transactional. Transactional is tit for tat, roommate, And it's really a position and an attitude that you have. If you have an attitude of giving and an attitude of unconditional love, then what you're going to say is, I'm not really worried about if she washed the dishes or if he cut the grass or if they had to work late or not. I'm going to love them regardless and I'm going to serve them regardless. Um, Again, I'm not being literal. I mean, we're all human beings. Zeno said you expect to breathe. Yeah, you expect to breathe, but guess what? Your next breath ain't promised. You expect to, I ate something, I want to relieve myself. That ain't promised either, Corey.
That's why you go
Because
to the doctor.
but beyond that, we can't control but so much, hardly probably anything. Because
No, we
we
can't control it,
think,
right?
right?
hmm
So we think, hey man, I work out every day. I go to bed on time. How did I end up with cancer? How did
Right.
I end up with a heart attack? How did I end up? Hey, I did everything right in this marriage. How did I end up divorced? I didn't cheat. I didn't, none of that. So we can't control certain things. So I think his, at least this is how I took it. I didn't take the literal letter of the word, never have an expectation and walk around being foolish. I took the spirit of the word, which was if I have a servant's heart and I don't expect anything from the person I'm in relationship with, I can't be disappointed. And I'm not serving them out of a selfish manner. I'm serving them out of love and because I'm choosing to. I remember. I remember one time. You ever been in a relationship, y'all, where someone says, "If it wasn't for me, you would have never had." If I didn't, you wouldn't have. Or the only reason you do this is because I do this, right? When someone starts doing that, you got to remind them, "Hey, I'm loving you because I love you, not because of something you're doing." So don't think so highly of yourself or think that you're owed anything. I'm choosing to love you. It's just like you could take the vows and someone could still do whatever they want because you can't control a human being. So I think it's more like that. Go ahead, Corey.
So me and my brother had a discussion about relationships, and he told me that most times, we were just discussing this. I can love unconditional. Well, you can have a partner that loves unconditional, but you have to find someone else that loves unconditional as well, because you do not want to find someone that loves you under conditions of. You understand what I'm saying? I could say,
Yeah.
I love you regardless, but someone else can say, I love you because you do this, and this is the condition why I love you. And it's like, y- it's the
For
scale's not
instance,
balanced.
I'm just gonna use an example where a lady was like, "I'm divorcing my husband because he lost his job." It's,
Right,
it's a popular thing that's been circulating on TikTok and Instagram, and it was like, "Yeah, I left him because he can't take care of the bills no more, and I'm not paying for this. Why should I have to? He promised and he made a vow, and he needs to." And that's very conditional, Corey. That, like you
right.
said, that's okay. So now because I don't make, six figures anymore, or because I got laid off, the job market changed. You're divorcing me. No spousal abuse.
hmm
No adultery. No, no, no financial abuse. Even though someone might say losing your job is abuse, it ain't abuse. It's something you can't control. But it's like, that's just like, that's just like, hey, you know what? She ain't give me none over the last week, so I cheated.
Yeah.
I'm
Conditions.
yeah, conditions like, oh, okay, so guess what? Yeah, I went and found some. You could do that if you want, but is that really the type of relationship you want, a transactional relationship? So I would love some responses on in that regard. Unconditional love and loving someone because you choose to versus them expecting or being entitled. So Zenos, can you talk about, I heard everything you said. Can you now put it in the terms of don't be entitled? So instead of saying don't have an expectation, what if you said don't be entitled?
I still don't like that either. Here's my thing. It's two things about marriage, especially not talking about dating, not talking about getting to know anyone. When you stand at the altar, and this is why I say people have to understand what marriage is, or at least in the sight of God, what's happening, what you think is happening. Two things that help marriage rather than what fails it. First thing is agreement. There has to be an agreement on the type of marriage. Some marriages exist where the man wants to be the head of household and the woman wants to be submissive. It's not right or wrong. It's just what works for that couple. Great. If I want to be the head of household and I marry a woman and she wants to be a head of household, we're going to have problems. Communication to me also flies in the face of don't expect anything. Otherwise, why communicate? Why talk? If I say, hey, babe, I'm getting off work early, meet me for lunch at such and such restaurant, and I go sit down and just sit there not expecting her to show up, that's ridiculous. Again, we talked about that. The other part of marriage that we miss, even the church misses, is that we're building something together. We're exchanging each other's bodies, time, emotions, mentality to build a family, whether that's with kids or without. We're building something. The two become one. I can't build if you don't show up. I can't build if I'm not expecting you to do your part. Why are you here? There is no relationship on earth where you can exist without an expectation being met. So when I mentioned oxygen and you said you can expect it, but you won't get it, then you die. If my relationship is not meeting expectations, well, let me say it like this. If I can't count on you, the relationship could fail. Now, I will say this, and then I'm gonna pass it off. I think a better way to kind of capture what he was trying to say is to love the person in their weakness, because the two of us have weaknesses, as all human beings do, and we're working together to build. And there may be a time where, babe, look, this is a weak area for me. I'm late often. This is a weak area for me. When I come home, I'm an introvert. I'm dead tired. I just got to get into bed and go to sleep. Now, if that's what he's getting at, sure, I'm going to love this woman through her weaknesses and support her, because we've both committed to levels of agreement and levels of building our life together. So I just think he needed to add a few more details to that.
I'm tracking. All right. Other thoughts about I like the unconditional aspect, and so I do like the you signed up for it, so can I count on you? Right. That's important, right? So a person holding up their end of the bargain, I totally get that. I want to show you guys something. Rain, did you have something?
Yeah, I was going to say two things. I love what Zeno said, and I also love what Destiny said. Destiny made a great point when she was talking about not the finances, but when she was saying serving, even when there is something going on in the relationship, continuing to serve consistently to your mate. And also, Zeno's made a point. If I'm going to dinner and there's expectations of my wife showing up at dinner and she doesn't show up, that's a foul play, right? So when we're committing and we're at the altar, there's things that we are left out. We talked about that on one of our episodes. Please go back, lifers, and listen and hear it. And we talked about compromising and sacrifices. And when you choose the person you want to marry, expectations are already agreements. It's like a contract. It's a contract that you have signed. And if you have not checked off all those boxes on that contract, you haven't went back and read it, there's time to refresh yourself. There's expectations that we all have to meet with our partners. And when they're not being met, that's not an argument. That's a time to say, hey, let's have a talk. Let's table this. But the conditions, and Dave, what you were saying, the understanding what you said made me understand it a little bit better from the point of view of what the speaker was saying. And I think he's just saying, stay humble, and being humble and allowing yourself to be considerate for the other person. And while doing that, recognizing and remembering the expectations that you have and respecting the expectations of the other person, and being selfless and not selfish.
Got it.
Oh,
Go ahead, baby.
So just to go back a little bit to what Rain was saying. So like if you take what he's saying like literally, so there are certain inferences and determinations you make early on in a relationship, right? Before you get married. So like when me and Dave was dating, I was evaluating his character, like his financial stability, just all of the things that you should evaluate before going into a relationship with somebody, like what his faith was like, just different things, like different nuances I look at to see like if this would be a suitable spouse, right? So if I get into marriage with him and then now I just have zero expectations, then it kind of just renders all of the inferences that I made prior to marrying him like meaningless. Because now that means if I have zero expectations, now that means that he doesn't have to continue to be the person that he was before I married him, which informed my decision to marry him. So that to me that doesn't make sense. So there is going to be a baseline expectation. So as sweet as he is and as smart as he is and as a good person as he is, if he stopped being that now that I've married him, I would be very distraught. Like, okay,
I
this is
got a,
not the person that I thought I was marrying.
I got a question, babe. So, um, if you don't have expectations, then I'm not required to behave a certain way. That's what you said.
If you
If a person, meaning a wife or a husband, doesn't have expectations, then the other person isn't required to behave a certain way because there's no expectations. They can just do whatever they want.
yeah, I guess you could say that, yeah.
See, I'm looking at it the other way. I'm looking at it like the person that signed up for marriage, let's say me, I should behave a certain way regardless of what you expect or not.
Mhm.
Regardless, because see, what if you don't have the same faith I have? What if you don't have the same level of experience? What if you don't know what to expect? I should have the level of character and the level of maturity to say, here's how I should behave and perform my duties as a husband, especially if I'm promising to do them. You could go left. And just because you go left or someone else, and we could take you and I out of it, just because a spouse goes left and develops a gambling problem, a drug problem, a cheating problem, does that mean that now the other spouse is free to act a damn fool just because their spouse went left? Or does it mean that no, they should still behave a certain way because they signed up to be a spouse based on their
Based
desires and their passions?
based on what I was shown prior, like based on what that person was shown prior to marriage.
Yeah,
So let's say
or based on their personal convictions, right? Their moral standards, right?
no, not no, yes, but no. So yeah, I have my own personal moral standards, my own personal moral compass, but that's me, right? So then when I look out to the world and I'm looking at this individual that I'm dating, or a woman or a man is looking at X, Y, and Z individual that they're dating and they're evaluating, I'm evaluating your behavior, like who you are as a person, to make the best informed decision I can as to whether or not to marry you. Now, if you do a 360 after we get married, then that's totally out of my control. Like, I didn't see that coming. You know what I mean? And depending on what it is, yeah, you should love your spouse through that. But I mean, you take the knowledge that you have prior to entering into marriage to decide whether to go forward with marriage. So it's just like an investment. Like if you, the same way you and Xenos look at the stock market or whatever it is, like I'm sure you're looking at the history of the company, like the fluctuations and whatever, to make the
Mm-hmm.
best informed decision as to whether or not you should buy the stock. What it's roughly the same thing. Like, you
Okay,
know,
so Xenos always says that he's
based on
like
risk. Yeah.
he's always talking about stocks is like having a relationship. So I date Microsoft and Microsoft does well, but then Microsoft starts really messing up and the stock price goes down and I don't like what they're doing with their business model.
Mhm.
So I should divorce and get out and leave Microsoft and go date Apple. I mean, that's kind of what we're saying, right?
No, I
I,
mean marriage is obviously marriage is a little different, you know, like they're obviously it's not exactly the same. But I'm saying is that because we can't see the future, like we're not God, you
Right.
take what you know and you try to make the best informed decision. What would be foolish is to see all of these red flags and still choose to go forward with the decision to marry someone. So you use the knowledge that you have at the time and you make
Yeah.
the best informed decision. But either way, no matter what you do, it's going to be a risk. Like people are unpredictable, you know, things can happen in the course of your marriage. You know, either way, it's going to be a risk. However, you want to make the best informed decision that you can to minimize the risk.
Okay. So I think that's going back to Zeno's notice that someone might have been Rain, maybe, was talking about entering a relationship when, you know, evaluating. So I'm going to evaluate you. I have expectations and requirements and standards, and I'm
Mhm.
evaluating. And if
Yeah.
and if I don't have expectations or requirements or standards, I might marry a fool. I might end up with
Yeah.
whoever because I don't have no. I totally get that, right? That's the evaluation process and all of that. Now, what I'm saying, I'm taking it a step farther and take me and Destiny out of it. This is hypothetical. You get married and then they go left. You get
Which could
married.
happen.
You get married and they develop a drinking problem. You get married, they develop a gambling problem. You get married and God forbid is domestic abuse, domestic violence. You get married and maybe it's not that bad. Maybe they just junky as hell. Maybe they just lazy as hell. Maybe they just can't keep a good job and they just aren't good managing finances. Maybe it's not a red flag deal breaker like, you know, domestic violence, but maybe it's just something like, oh my God, they're a night owl and I'm not. Lord have mercy. They're late and I'm early. So because they don't meet certain desires or because they are lax, do you just say, okay, fine, I'm just going to act out too and do whatever I want and don't care? Or do you have, I didn't expect anything because people are human and I'm going to love them anyway because that's what I signed up for. I'm asking, what do you do in that part? Let's go,
Uh,
Corey, since he Rain first, actually. Rain and then Corey because Rain had her hand up.
so first I want to say, I want to throw something in there, right? So to some of us who've been married, it'll be our first time. So when I get married, it will be my first marriage. And I am actually marrying someone that could have already been in a marriage. So it's going to be shame on them because you're expecting things. I'm expecting a lot more from you if I did go into it that way. And that's going through the potential because you've already been married. And I believe, and I say what I'm, me, I'm unfiltered. I feel that a grace should be given to someone who has their first marriage. I feel there should be a lot of grace.
Well, if that's
And
the case, then two people who've never been married should be giving each other all kinds of grace, and there should not be that many divorces because people should be given all kinds of grace.
absolutely. But I'm saying that when someone's been divorced and when they remarry and they go into a marriage and you're marrying someone who's never been married, there should be a lot of grace there because the reason why is because now you're entering a place where a person is actually giving 100% all. And that other person probably has a lot of fight or flight responses because they're triggered by things that they could remember in past relationships that they bring over, even if they don't mean to. It's not intentionally, subconsciously, because of past. But the person that's involving themselves and not unknowingly, that virgin relationship, as in grace, needs to be offered. So when I say expecting, I expect to see things that I know that are going to be a little bit different because someone's already been here before. But I also expect to give me a little bit of grace because me coming in, I believe I will need that. But here we go back to agreements and understanding each other prior to getting to that altar. These conversations need to be had before you walk your ass up to the front, jump the broom, however you're going to do it, however it goes for whomever. Before you get there, this has to be something that's we've already discussed this. And just like Destiny said, I shouldn't have to go back over this again if we've already went through this. Not in those exact words, but give grace to those. I believe so. So unconditional. If you love someone, it's unconditional. And if you're getting married anyways, me and my house, and from my culture, like there isn't divorces. My family and my father's side, there's only one divorce that's ever happened. And he has 11 brothers and sisters, and they're all still married, or either it's death do them part.
Which side is your father? What culture?
Cuban.
Cuban. Okay.
Cuban
All
and
right.
Filipino. Mhm.
I want to read something. Corey has something. Go ahead, Corey.
So I love what you're saying, Rain. That's great. The issue, it's not it is an issue. So what we're talking about is mature adults discussing how we can stay married or what we're expecting. If you got married young, when I got married young,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I was expecting? Me and my ex, oh, we're in love. Oh
Right.
my God, we're gonna have children, we're gonna do this. We didn't know what the hell we were doing. All
Right.
we knew was we were in love and we went to work and we're gonna try to grow this. And that's
Cor-
it.
Corey, do you and your ex have expectations? You're young.
Yeah,
Now, I'm making a point that you were young, and this is
yeah,
both of y'all first marriage. Did y'all
yeah.
have expectations?
Yeah, the expectation is to be together and stay in love
Okay, so you
and
had
keep it going.
expectations, but they
Yeah.
were broad, general.
They were broad, they were not detailed at all.
They weren't. They weren't. Yeah, they were gracious
They were
expectations.
gracious expectations.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think the age matters and how you are mentally matters
Yeah.
in all of this. Because now, as an older gentleman, it's gonna be I see the sign, I expect this, or my partner might expect this. Like we might have something what we expect, but also I know that if I can have to deal with it, I'll deal with it. If I don't, I don't have to deal with it. I'm gone,
Oh, hold
or
on.
she's gone.
Oh, hold on, Corey. Hold on, because I gotta make this point. So it sounds like when you were younger, you wasn't thinking about I could bail, I could pull a parachute. When you were younger, it sounds
No,
like you had this broad vision of here's the
there's no
fairy tale,
option,
we're
sir.
in love. So now
When
that you're
you're
older,
young, yeah, when
mm-hmm,
you're young, that's another thing. About why marriages, fail or
mm-hmm,
cause a failed relationship. We
mm-hmm,
got too many options
mm-hmm.
to fail. We don't have options of success of a marriage.
Oh, okay.
It's too many getaways.
In today's world.
Into those days where there's too many getaways.
Yeah, and Rain made a point about age gap relationships, and she also
Mhm.
made a point about prior marriages and never been married relationships, right? You would expect that a person that's been married before, you would think that they have more experience and that they're gonna be better at marriage. They've done it. So the person that's never been married might be looking up and saying, hey, I expect you to know some of this because you've done this.
Right.
And then the person who's been married before may look at the person who's never been married and say, hey, I expect you to be way more open and cooperative, and let's work together. Don't be negative because you ain't been hurt by nobody hardly. So why are you coming in here closed up? I do understand that. Um, and I will say I agree with y'all. I think that you should have a base level of, I will say, requirements, and then I guess those can be considered expectations. The reason why I don't like the word expectation personally is because I went through a marriage that had unrealistic expectations. And Zenos, you said that earlier. You said unrealistic. I think Destiny, you said it too, baby. That was your babe. Sorry. So Zenos didn't say that. Zeno said, "Fuck the church." That's what Zeno said. I heard that. So this is my best friend in the Lord said, "F preachers." That's what I heard.
Wow.
Hey, that's what I heard. You said they come with all this flowery stuff, but let's get to the meat. And I agree. we do need to get to the meat. So Destiny said unrealistic expectations were unrealized. So I threw it out there, y'all. I threw this whole thing of don't have any expectations. I knew what Dr. Monroe was saying. And I know it's a 1-minute clip. So if y'all just stick within the lines, of course, you can say, oh, that's very narrow. But I think something that is important to me is not having unrealistic expectations. I can't expect my wife, who's never been married, who's younger than me by 20 years, to behave like my mom, who's 20 years my senior, 20 some odd years my senior, and been married before, been married twice. Like that's a different woman with different understandings of marriage and different understandings of relationships and all of that stuff. So I have to have a realistic expectation that, hey, my younger wife who's never been married is learning some things. I'll give you an example. There was a lifer that I won't name, but this is a lifer from a couple of years ago. She's like, Dave, I was in an age gap relationship when I was younger. I was in my early 20s. He was like in his early 40s. And she was like, I loved the guy, but he wanted me to behave and move like a 40-year-old wife. She said, I'm a 20-year-old girlfriend. She's like, I wanted to be wifey. I had the desire, but also I'm young. I'm in school. I'm hanging out. I'm enjoying life. I have a fun, different aspect. I don't look at domestic chores as something I want to do quite right now. So she was like, I'm trying to go live life. He wanted me to come home, cook, meal prep, be the wifey, and be happy. And she was like, I was happy to do that stuff for him because I'm choosing to, but I didn't like when he was shutting me down when I wanted to go and do other things that young people do. And she said he just wanted me to be older and I wasn't. And she said it was unfair. That's what broke it down. Now she's since then moved on. She's married. Her husband is in her age bracket. They got a child. They're very happy. But she was like, that age gap when she was in her early 20s was hard to overcome for her. So the guy had expectations, is my point. And those expectations he put on her, and she wasn't able to live up to them. And it broke the relationship down. So I want to talk about this aspect of unrealistic expectations. But before I do that, you guys made great points. And I want to read something that I pulled up from the internet.
Hey,
And I know,
you,
yes, sir.
I got to drop off here. So I'm going to say good night.
Okay.
Want
to leave us something? You got a 1-minute soliloquy about expectations?
Just going back to what you said, I mean, I think the key is communication. The problem with expectations is that they're often unspoken. And so even if you have them before you get married and now you're married and you're kind of stuck with them, I thought she was going to be a little bit more of this, or I thought he was going to be more like this. It's good to communicate, because if both parties have sacrificed themselves, I belong to Destiny. Destiny belongs to David. If you come with that mindset, it should make the communication a little bit better, right? So you may have an expectation that she'll cook, and she may want to cook, but your expectation of how it might taste, that might be where the problem is. Right?
Yeah.
So I think the big thing is just communicate, talk it out, understand that the other person is trying because they love you, and work together. I mean, marriage is a journey, it's a process, and we often want the end result after we say I do. Oftentimes, the end result doesn't come for many years after you've made many years of investment.
Before you go, Rain said something about appreciate everything and expect nothing. So let's say cooking, right? If I expect my wife to be like a chef because my previous wife or girlfriend was like a chef, I'm setting myself up for failure. I'm setting myself up for disappointment.
Yep.
If I'm a wife and I expect my husband to be a handyman, great with cars, great with, wood shopping and building, but my new husband ain't. He just isn't. He's
He's
keyboard
metrosexual.
nerd. He's a coder. he's metrosexual, whatever it is. You setting yourself up for disappointment. And then I'm gonna hit you with this big one, Zenos. Sex. If I expect my wife or my husband to be an all-out backflip off the chandeliers freak because somebody else in my past was, but that ain't them. Or, you know what I'm saying? What have you? It's like that you setting yourself up. You have to. This is why I do tend to go with, I don't expect anything from anyone other than what they're giving me. Like I would hope and I would like, Zenos, I know you got to roll out. I would hope and I would like for people to do certain things, but I can't be disappointed if they don't, because people can make choices, man. And you got to give grace and everything. Yeah, Z.
Let me say this. I've come to believe that you can't do marriage without God. You just can't. You can try, but at best, you're gambling. So, man, I hate the soliloquy eyes, but we were made in the image of God, right? And Jesus also said to certain people, "You're like your father, Satan," right? So we've got these two natures or these two images that kind of conflict within us. So you can marry somebody and they just got a lot of the image of God. They're kind, they're patient, they're generous. Great, you lucked out. But if you're like everybody else, you marry somebody who sometimes you may stop and look like, man, who is this?
Yeah.
Who are you?
The devil
Right?
is a liar.
And so here's my thing, right? When you say God, we all think we got God. We all think we know God. Even Christians in church think they know God. But until you really have let go and said, look, God, I'm all in on whatever you give me, then you might have that expectation of, I don't have any expectations. You might have that mindset. But the main thing is this. Let's say two people get married. Both of them never had sex. So let's say there's no imprint that's been put on there, right?
Right.
And one of them just has a low sex drive once a quarter. Now the question is, who do you trust?
A quarter though? Sheesh. Jesus Christ.
Once a quarter.
I need water more than once a quarter. Damn. Shit.
Right. Once a quarter versus I need it twice a day. These people get married, we got a problem. There's a problem. The thing is, though, do you trust God to work that out? Because you can get divorced, you can go find somebody else, you can find a side piece, whatever, right? But if you say, God, come on, I'm expecting God to come in and work this out.
See, now we're talking.
And then what'll happen is the two become one. You check back in six years, you check back into 12 years. Now they got a rhythm. And that rhythm might be, twice a week or whatever. And so that person who says once a quarter, they got to drift. That person that says twice a day, they got to drift.
See, Key, you said I have an expectation with God, because faith is an earnest expectation, right? We hope for a certain thing and we're expecting God to do. See, that's the thing. I'm coming to you, babe. I see you. That's the thing. I look, if I'm married to Destiny, I can't walk in the house like, hey, I expect. Like the minute I come in like that, it's a wrap, bro. Number one, she not gonna do it. Number two, she don't have to.
Number three, she from Philly.
Number three, she from Jersey, South Jersey.
That's worse.
Right across the street from Philly. So, and number four, the minute you come in beating your chest saying I'm King Kong, you're gonna cause that other person to either willow and wither, and now you just have a doormat, or they gonna buck up and be like, hey man, who you think you are? Like, I'm here because I love you, not because I have to be.
Exactly.
That's what I mean by expectations, y'all. And I agree, Zenos. I agree. The two have to become one, and you have to trust God. Now, going back to what Destiny said, and then Rain had also said, Zenos, if I'm looking for a wife or looking for a husband, and let's say I have dated people before, I might have an idea what I like and don't like. If I'm seeing someone that's hitting all the things I hate and don't like and can't deal with, and I'm not constructive for, I would be a fool to marry them and expect them to change. I'd be a
Unless,
fool.
unless God said that's your wife.
Well, hopefully this ain't the book of Hosea and God ain't gonna tell you to marry a harlot.
Right.
Hopefully,
Well,
to make an example. I mean, it's happened, but I'm like,
Right.
please, Jesus not here.
Right. Otherwise, we're gonna use wisdom. Correct.
Right. Otherwise, we're gonna use wisdom. Go ahead, baby. You're gonna say something. Zeno, so
yeah.
do you have to go?
Yeah, I'm a dip.
All right, hey, that's my man Zeno. Hey, man. See you next time on the next episode. All right, go ahead, baby.
I was just gonna say, like, just to go back to Zenos's point, you also gotta like understand like who you're marrying, right? And just be realistic with who you're marrying. So for instance, right, you're not going to get everything because in order for you to get everything, that would mean somebody would need to be perfect, right? So nobody's perfect. So you got to do like trade-offs. Like, okay, he's smart, but he might not be like super fit, or he's kind, but he might not, I don't know, he might not be savvy in this way, or like, I don't know, there's just trade-offs. Like, okay, she might be pretty, but she's not super fit. Like, whatever the case may be. So I think
Mhm.
sometimes people get into relationships and they get with one thing and then try to change it to something else because they're trying to get everything, right? So like for instance, like you said something about just the humor, the panel and the crowd, right? You
Mhm.
said something about like somebody flipping off of a chandelier,
Right.
which is ridiculous, but like let's just go with that.
Right.
So you can't
Hold on.
marry,
Flipping off the chandelier and landing exactly where they're supposed to land. Go ahead.
right, which is like some type of black magic or whatever if
Right.
you're doing that.
Right.
Anyway,
Simone Biles, Dominique Dawes,
right.
10-point
So you
landing.
can't you can't marry, you can't say, oh, I want a woman that's chaste or this, that, and the third, and then expect her to come into marriage doing that. No, that's not gonna happen. So either you get with a woman that's more experienced in that way and you take the good with the bad. Like, okay, she might have had some partners or whatever, but I love her, she's not doing that now, or whatever. I'm gonna marry her, this, that, and the third, we're compatible. And then you might get that, but you can't marry like somebody that's super chaste
Yeah, and
and expect
expect
them to be
them.
doing. So there's trade-offs. Like you gotta
Hey,
pick and
and you
choose.
can't marry a young man who's new in his career and
Right.
expect him to make all the right financial moves, and
Absolutely.
because he just don't have the experience. Now we
Absolutely.
education is different. Of course, we can all learn, but experience. We're talking about experience. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, know who you're marrying. Okay, so we got a guest that's gonna come up in a second. Looks like Rain, her Wi-Fi hopefully should be back in a second, and then we got one of our other lifers that's gonna come up. Um, hey Corey,
Yes, my brother.
I knew Corey in high school, y'all. He's one of my best friends. Corey, when we're young as men, at least us growing up in our neighborhood, love songs were big. Can you stand the rain?
Yes.
I want to be your man. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? House is not a home, like, Anita Baker, Rapture. We grew up on love songs, and then hip hop really, really took off, and then hip hop took over. Are we wrong for being young men hoping, or dare I say expecting, that our first marriage was going to be this wonderful union and we were never going to have arguments and this was our ride or die? Were we just young and dumb? Or were we misinformed? And what I'm getting at is it wrong for younger people and people that's never been in heavy relationships to hope for the best? Because as you get older, you could become cynical. And I'm asking you, as a divorcee, just like I was, I'm asking you, are we wrong for having hope when we're younger? Or are we wrong for being too cynical as we have gotten older?
That's a good question. I don't think we're wrong at all. I think what happened was we supposed to be like that because we are young, and young love is probably some of the best organic love that you're gonna get. Um, there's hardly any layers yet. All you know is love. My friend said it best. He said the problem with marriage, well, now is at one point we as people, as man and wife, needed each other. We generally needed each other back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's no need for one another.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? As like we gotten older, we have separated ourselves. We have lists and things that we will like, what we want. But no one said I need to be loved. They want
Yeah.
this list of things, and they have all these expectations, like
Mm-hmm.
you said.
Mm-hmm. See,
But
that's what I was trying to get us to.
yeah,
Them unrealistic, unfounded, unjustified expectations.
yes, I want a man that make $250,000 a year. I want a
Listen,
woman
Corey,
that's
when I was single looking for a wife, I had a
yes, sir.
lady on the show say, whatever man I date needs to make $250,000 to $500,000. He needs to be physically fit, 6 feet, 6 inches. And like I said, way more than six figures.
Mhm,
Right. And this woman sold tea. She sold fitness tea.
mhm,
Okay. She sold fitness tea and she kept up her physical appearance. So granted, young, slim, all that stuff. That's great. Influencer sells fitness tea. That's great. But when you get down to it, why should a quarter millionaire, half a millionaire, millionaire want to marry someone that's not even a 100,000 there? And I'm not saying that you can't marry someone that doesn't make that much, but her expectation for a quarter million, a half a million as a base, as a starting point, I
mhm.
was like, you don't even need to make that much. You're not that successful. You don't. If a man gave you a household with $500,000, you wouldn't know what to do with it.
Exactly.
You
So
try to turn it
that
into an Instagram tea shop, and that
so
didn't make
here
sense to me.
so here's no it does make sense. Let me tell you why.
Mm,
The world we live in now, it's like everybody is trying to get that scratch off ticket for a lottery and hope they win. That's all it is. They look at relationships like, oh my God, please let that be the one. Oh, come on, got to have everything because I got this lottery ticket in my hand. They think everybody's a lottery. They think the person
Mm-hmm.
they want is a millionaire or a billionaire, or it's like you said, it's unrealistic. Not gonna be there. We have to be in a place of let's strip ourselves down to the common core of what we are. We're supposed to just love and be appreciative of the human spirit because I think yes, we have expectations,
mm-hmm.
but once you get to the core of it, then you can build on other things. But as you get older, you do have a list. I hate to say it because you don't want to live in a certain way with
Yeah.
a person with you. But when you're young, it's like I don't know nothing. I just want to be in love with this girl because she loved me back. And whatever
Right.
we do, we're gonna do it, and then we'll figure it out.
Right. Corey, when I was a young man, um, I would say I don't have no expectations. I would say, hey, look, I'm not trying to put that on you because I don't want you putting nothing on me. And I gotta balance that, right? Because we do have expectations, right?
Hmm.
I do want someone that's respectful. I do want someone that loves God. And look, I learned that, right? I definitely need somebody to believe in Jesus because I've dated people, number one, that didn't believe in Jesus or that was unsure about their faith. Like
Hmm.
I'm a Christian, but I don't know how much I feel about going to church. Or they were in a denomination that I just couldn't get with. Right? Some denominations have beliefs that I can't quite rock with, even though they're Christian. Or God forbid, a separate religion altogether. Right? I learned like, yo, I must have a believer in Christ because when I get sick, Corey, if I'm coughing, if I have a nightmare, Corey, if I have I'll double over, I need a praying woman. I need a woman that can get to heaven and say, you know what, Lord, in the name of Jesus, not, no, I need someone that knows God. And I'm not going to go no farther because I'm not trying to mock nobody. Something else I noticed is, I'm not the most let me straighten up person. I'm much better with computers than I am with let's go straighten up. Now, you shut up, Corey. Shut up. I know how your room looked in high school, Negro, so be
Hey,
quiet.
you too.
Right. Yeah, right. We both had it going on. But listen. But when it comes down to it, I know how to cook. I know how to clean. I know how when it comes down to it, but it may not be my first default, right?
Right.
Here's what I learned, y'all. I used to be like, man, I don't want to be with no neat freak. These people are OCD. It's too much. Until I was dating somebody where I rolled over and I got stabbed by a fork in the back of my kidney. And it was an entire plate of food under the covers. Under the covers, Corey.
That's a new level of dirty that I just
Are you
like.
serious?
That's an elevated level of dirty. Like I can't.
Corey,
Can I ask you one
What the
question?
hell?
I'm not revealing
What
no identities.
I didn't say that. I wasn't
Okay.
gonna ask you that.
Okay.
Were they in your bed?
No, I went to their house, Corey. The hell no. See, this is what I'm saying. I might leave my clothes hanging up on the door and I got a pile of clothes I got to wash. You're never going to get in my bed and roll over on a plate of food and get stabbed.
Never.
I don't do that. I'll leave my food, in the kitchen or whatever. I ain't bringing it in the bed with me, eating it, sitting it to the side and going to sleep. Knowing my girlfriend gonna come over and slide in the bed and she get in the bed trying to get close. Oh God, David. And there's a damn fork and some Doritos and a half-eaten, piece of chicken.
That's disgusting.
So she wasn't even respectful enough to clean.
I'm gonna say I would say she fell asleep, but it happened more than once.
No, dog.
There was a
Like
plate in the
about the
bed more than once.
exact.
There was a
She
plate in
wasn't
the bed more than
respectful
once.
enough to you to clean it up before you got there.
I fell asleep because you got over here late. You always working so late. Yo, man, ain't no damn excuse. Now listen, I'm not saying no more because people watch the show and people will try to triangulate who I'm talking about.
He's doing.
What you mean? They know she knows she dirty.
They gonna know when they watch this. But Corey, I will say he's doing okay. I'm okay as long as he don't make my job harder, and he don't. I don't mind straightening up behind him, but he don't make me work harder. And Dave's been doing good, so as long
Well,
as I
I'm
see the
proud of
effort, I love him for that. He does all right.
because it's more than likely I already kind of know what it is. Because I
Tell me what it is, Corey. Talk. Come on, we talking. The show is
damn
entertaining.
problem damn clothes.
Oh yeah, it's definitely close. Yeah, I gotta.
He's not
I'm.
dirty. He's not dirty.
I know. I already know he's not dirty. It's
But
just
just the clothes. Yeah.
It's
just the
clutter.
clothes.
I've
Clutter.
said it. I've said that 1,000 times. It's clutter. Now, all honesty, being a single man for 16 years,
Mm-hmm.
I let it get bad sometimes because wasn't nobody over here. You see what I'm saying? I'm
Forget
like,
it.
now if I'm having company, Corey, if I got a
Yeah.
girlfriend, if I know,
Yes.
oh yeah, I'm about to boom, 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 boom. You're gonna come over and be like, oh wow, this is like a hotel. But when you're dating and you're engaged and you're getting married, like me and Destiny went through the stages, I had time to get my act together and say, hey man,
Right.
you better act like you got some sense. You about to have a woman move into this house. You can't have a pile of clothes in every room. You gotta get rid of some of these stuff that you keep in like old letters and paperwork. Don't be a hoarder. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you gotta do better. But here was my point. My point was domestic wasn't really an expectation because I was lucky enough to always date women that had great domestic mindsets. They're like, yo, I'm gonna keep my house straight.
Right.
Destiny, I could eat off the floor. My ex-wife, I could eat off the floor. That's just how these
What
women are.
about the one with the fork in the bed?
No, I could not eat off of her floor.
Wait a minute. Can I ask you a question? Did she cook for you?
Yeah, I will give her that.
And you ate her food?
See you taking it. You see, Corey. See you going places. I'm not
Right.
trying to take it
I didn't
there.
think about that, Corey, but you
It's
got a
Corey.
point
I'm not trying.
there.
Corey.
What? Look.
All right.
Hey,
So look, listen. I told y'all I'm
hey.
not revealing no identities, but
You don't have to.
I'll just say this. Hold on, Corey. When you're single, and you're dating, right? A lot of times you can eat out. So a lot of times, you ain't got to worry about all that if y'all eating out, door dashing, going to dinner. Now, when you start coming over, or she starts coming over, and then you get to see how people cook and straighten up. So I'm gonna say this. Sometimes you would have to straighten up the kitchen before things were cooked. You got to straighten up because
I cannot cook in a
now
dirty kitchen.
I
I can't cook
neither
in a
can
dirty
I.
kitchen.
But it became my job to load the dishwasher because I knew that. And listen, why am I saying all this? Because I remember in my first marriage, I was accused of being the person that would not wash the dishes at night. And I'm like, well, I'll get them in the morning, right? But to a person that's OCD, they no, ain't no get them in the morning. It
Yeah.
has to be right now because I'm OCD. It bothers me. So I didn't have an expectation of, um let's say domestic in the kitchen, because I was lucky enough to always date people that were already inclined to be busting suds and doing stuff. But when you finally date some people that aren't like that, then you start having expectations, Corey. I was trying to get back to as you get older, you
Exactly.
start saying, hold on now. I need somebody to do a little this or a little bit of that. You see what I'm saying? Like, so yeah. Hold on. If you coming up, hit the button because we only gonna be on for another 35, if that. So we were gonna have one of the lifers come up. Okay.
That's fun. That's a good one,
So
Dave.
as you get older, Corey, you have expectations. The other thing is you have to fight to keep your innocence and your openness about love. See, when I was young, we used to listen. Corey knows this in high school. One of my favorite love songs was "Adore" by Prince.
Mhm.
Okay, "Adore" by Prince. "Lady in My Life." You know what I'm saying? Those songs. All I Do Is Think of You, Jackson 5. You know, you think that that's what love is gonna be, like a love song. You think, oh man, it's gonna be a
So
fantasy,
think that.
right? Even as a young man, it's not just
Mhm.
ladies that have fantasies and dreams. Young men, we say, oh man, when I find my wife, man, it's gonna be this, this, and this. And like Zeno said, you start to realize that the reality is different than your dream, than your fairy tale, than your fantasy. Corey, as I've gotten older, been divorced, been single for all these years, then I finally meet Destiny. Then I finally realize, oh man, she's the answer to my prayers. Wow, she's the one. And then we get engaged. I had to continue to be open to the idea that I gotta still be that hopeful, open, romantic guy that I used to be. I can't let years of whatever kind of frustration and pain make me cynical. And I
Mhm.
think that's part of the not expecting things, because I could expect a fairy tale, but I gotta realize that it may not be that. It's gonna be a more of a reality, and love is a choice every single day. Even if I do have all these sugar plum and gumdrop dreams of romance and love, there may be days when it's gonna be that, but there may be days when it's not. But I will say that being open to the possibility of finding love, I found love, and God blessed me with exactly what I was looking for. And there are days when it's all of that. And then there are days when it's like, okay, we're human.
Mhm.
We got to pray for each other. We can't get mad. We can't get, she's not my ex.
Right. Right.
I can't put that on her. She didn't do nothing wrong to hurt me. You know what I'm saying? So, and all of that stuff. And I'm sure Destiny has likewise had to say, he ain't this person. you know, I love him for this reason, and I don't want to put that old stuff on him. So,
So
um,
it's great what you just said.
what's
I
that?
realized that I still can be romantic, and I'm still good at being romantic. And I was shocked that through a lot of stuff I've done, a lot of stuff I've been through, I
Yeah,
am still considered as a romantic person.
yeah,
Like I did something for someone, and they was like, "Corey, you do a great job at giving
yeah,
gifts and thinking of me like this." And I'm like, "Really?" I just being considerate.
Hold
But
on.
you
Hey,
put me on
Carl.
a pedestal.
Hey, Carl, do me a favor. Either turn your volume down or put on your AirPods, because I had a little bit of an echo. But welcome to the stage,
There,
y'all. My
there I
homeboy
go.
Carl Shaft.
What's up, brother Carl?
What's going on, family? Haven't seen y'all in a long while.
Welcome to the stage, Carl Shaft, my man.
Yo,
So
favor
thank
real
you for
quick. Can you do me
yeah,
a favor real quick? I want to hear you say anime.
anime.
Uh-oh.
No, okay. Destiny, when he was talking, I was in and out. I was on another podcast. He said something about if I told Destiny, I said no.
Oh,
You need to
like
try anime.
anime. Yeah, right. Eat the cake,
Anime.
anime.
Eat the
Yeah. I,
cakes.
I mean, but even Ike, man, and we talking about expectations, and I'll play the video for you because I want your reaction, Carl.
Okay.
We're when a man like Ike abuses a woman like Tina, you're just gonna regret it. You see what I'm saying? Like, it don't make sense. If you really love the person that much, let them love you. Don't force them to love you. And I think Ike was just
But
trying to do so much. He regretted it, and he lost the person he loved. He lost the person he loved because
yeah,
he smothered her. You just and he hit her, and he did all types of abusive things. And if you love a
yeah,
person that much, just let them. You can't make nobody do anything.
absolutely, absolutely.
All right, let
But
me show this.
like I said, we put the wrong outfit on we put the wrong outfit on the right person.
Mm,
Does that make
You
mm.
know,
sense?
yes, it does. Corey, I was trying to say, you and I, when we chose, and this is no slight to our ex-wives or our ex-girlfriends from high school or college, because Corey, one of my best friends, he know everybody I dated. We had to pick better as young men, Corey. It's our fault. It's our fault.
Got to be taught
Well,
first.
Hold
We
on.
got to be
I,
taught
hold on,
first.
hold on. Hold on. I didn't say that. I didn't say that we couldn't, because that was my next statement, is that we need to be taught. But nonetheless, when you choose a partner, men, women, whatever you got, unless they lied to you and they completely deceived you and you never saw the real thing and you never had a red flag, whatever you got is on you because you chose it. I think a lot of times we put shades on and we're not looking with our eyes to see who that person really is. We just are in the lights and cameras and action, and we're not noticing who they really are. So I would say, Corey, you and I both being prior married and divorced, we got to choose better, sir. And I believe I did this time. Thank God. Hallelujah.
Can I say
That's
something?
easier said than done, man.
Can I say
Go
something
ahead.
real quick, Dave?
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Destiny, I want you to hear this too. I actually chose right, and we both said it. Me and my ex said it to each other. We chose right, but we young and immature because we were young and we didn't let things grow and go through the storm. See, sometimes there's a storm that you have to go through. We just had an option of out. If we would have stayed there together and kind of really tried, we probably still, I know for exact, we still be together.
Did you
Okay. So
guys have like a see? That's the thing with getting married, like super young. When did you get married, Corey? How old were y'all?
25?
25. That's
Oh
that's
man,
young. That's
Yeah.
young. I
man.
mean, I got
Yeah.
married
yeah,
in
but
Okay,
my
it's
20, but
subjective.
20,
30s.
It's
but
So,
subjective.
25 in the 90s is different than 25 in 2025. Kids are able
did
to do
you
so much more in today's world with technology. They can
Yeah.
accomplish so much. I didn't graduate college till 23. Most people graduate in college 22, 23. At 25, they just getting life started. In today's world, at
yeah,
25,
but
they could run a Fortune 500.
that's true. However, like it's like hit or miss with these kids that get young, that get married younger, like real young like that. Because
Yeah.
sometimes it works out. Like your friend
Right.
Zenos, who got married at whatever 19 or whatever it was. So sometimes it works and they're in it for the
Right.
long haul. But you got to grow together. Like you got
Exactly.
to understand, you guys are kids, so
Yeah.
you're growing
Hmm.
together. Did you guys have like an older couple that was kind of like mentoring you guys
Oh yeah,
in your marriage?
yeah. Her parents, they still together now. The
Okay,
crazy.
so
Go
what was
ahead.
the
I'm sorry.
counsel that they was providing y'all? Like when y'all were having issues, did you go to them and say like, "Hey, can we sit down and talk?"
Oh, Destiny, if you
Mediation.
do it,
You
Mediation.
brought it up. You
it's.
brought it up, Corey. You brought it
I
up.
did. Destiny. They. When I say they were all okay, they are old Southern black couple. So they was already old when we got married. They was in their 60s when
Oh,
we got
that's
married. And see,
yeah.
so it's like just if you just pray and hold each other's hand, you'll be good. What?
Oh my
Hold on, hold
gosh.
on. But you know what's funny? In the essence of it, that's all it does take. We make it hard. Hear me out. Hear me out because going back to Miles Monroe, and this is a perfect segue because I could play it again for Carl, right? Going back to what Miles Monroe said, Corey, if we have that open, I'm serving and I'm here because I love you, and it's not conditional and it's not dependent on how you act. This I'm making a choice. That's how people can start off in the 40s and 50s and be like, all you got to do is go to bed, not mad, pray, hold hands, and bring flowers, and you can get through anything. Yeah, it's because you're open and you're
Yeah.
not holding things against people, and you're not coming in with
Mhm.
expectations and judging people. It was a more innocent way of it's
Yeah.
act of service. It's I'm gonna
Mhm.
serve my spouse versus entitlement of, well, she better do this, otherwise I'm out, or he better do this,
Yeah,
otherwise
but
I'm out.
when you young, you not thinking like that. Like they're
Exactly.
young. You got to remember
Yeah.
they're super young. So just pray about everything and be okay. No, they need somebody to sit down with them and explain to them, what does that look like? What are the issues that
Yes.
you guys are dealing with? Like let's flesh through it, right? Let's adjust
Mhm.
some of these unrealistic expectations that
Yeah.
he might have or she might have. Let's go to the word. What does it mean to be a wife?
Right.
What is God expecting from
So
you
so
in
you're talking
this?
you're talking about preparing them to be interdependent because so many parents only teach their children or young adults how to be independent. And now they're
Mm.
21, 25, 30. They're not prepared to be interdependent, which is what Corey is saying. If they was taught how to be interdependent, they would have stayed together and got through it together because they would have been
Hmm.
learning together. Because their
Right.
common goal is dependent on each other to succeed. Both have an independent mindset
Right.
with no, even though you have older people around you trying to tell you to hold hands, pray, and all that, like David just described. I heard you, but I'm not processing it
Right.
because you're not breaking. You're not make. It's like I love church. No, I don't like church, but I like Kirk Franklin because the music moves me
Right.
to what you get. What I'm saying? So
Hmm.
you have to bring that in order for a young person to say, "Yeah, I want to be just like you."
Mm.
Interdependency.
Yeah.
What does it really look like?
So the topic tonight, Carl, no, you just got here,
Mm,
is the number one cause of failed relationships. And we talked about it, and I could play
mm,
the clip, but before I do that, you know what? No, I'm gonna play the clip, Carl, because I need you to see the clip. Then I can continue with the rest of
okay.
the topic. All right, here is what Dr. Miles Monroe said was the number one cause of there it is, the number one cause of failed relationships.
Listen to this.
The number one source of failure in marriage is expectations. Expectations. What you don't expect will never disappoint you. I repeat, what you don't expect will never disappoint you. And so the key in relationship is to go after meeting the other person's needs and not expect yours to be met.
We could play the rest, but I think the rest threw people off. That's the gist of what I wanted to do the show about. If you try to meet your spouse's needs and don't worry about your needs getting met, meaning you don't have no expectations, then wherever they land, you won't be disappointed because you didn't come in here saying, well, they better perform at this level. You coming in saying, hey, man, regardless of how they perform, I'm going to perform at this level. I'm going to be this because I came in and I'm committed. And you probably got a lot to say, Carl.
Can't if Destiny wears a size 8, you can't force a size 4 on her. You
Hmm.
understand? And it's going back to
That
what
would
I
be an
said.
unrealistic expectation.
Exactly. And you know your shoes. You're not going to go out there and buy a size 10 because you know you wear a 12.
Hold
It's
on,
not
but
going to
let's
make
but let's
sense
flip it.
to.
Let's flip it. Let's flip it. Okay, let's talk about physical fitness. You have a husband
Mm,
who trains, a husband who works out. Maybe he was a professional athlete. He fit. You have a wife who's an average
mhm,
person. They didn't train. They didn't play a sport. They aren't as fit.
mhm,
So when they get married and he gained his freshman 15 and she gained her freshman 15, it looks different because he came in the door, worked out, tied up, boop, boop, boop. She
mhm.
came in the door average. Is it wrong for him to say, I expect you to look this way because I look this way?
Hell no. You shouldn't have got married in the first place because I believe in the AAA program. And the AAA program is adjust, adapt, accept. Adjust, adapt, accept. How you met
Excuse
them is how you have to adjust to them and you have to accept. Otherwise, why waste time in the first place? Time is more valuable than money. Why are you wasting another person's time trying to put something on them that don't fit them? It's not them. So the expectations that the was talking about, I can agree with it, but I wouldn't put that as number one, only because I would rather be on the side of interdependency before expectation. When you have conversation of expectation, because you have now adjusted to what is in front of you. Think about it.
So, so that would mean even though I'm an athlete and I work out, I shouldn't expect my wife to be an athlete and work out if I met her and she wasn't already doing that. That means
Hell
you're saying
no.
he should adjust. He say, okay, let me adjust because she wasn't where
He
I'm at,
has
so
to.
I'm gonna adjust. Okay, and vice
Exactly.
versa, and vice versa. The way I used to
Hmm.
say it, Carl, I used to say like this: if you marry a person, this is just all hypothetical example. If you marry a person who runs track, but they hate swimming, they're just not good in the water. But you yourself are an Olympic swimmer. You love swimming, but you're not good on the track. Don't try to turn a track star into an Olympic swimmer, and don't try to turn an Olympic swimmer into an Olympic track star. That's not what they're good at. You don't try to change them. When you met them, you knew that
You
they weren't a
can't.
track star. They aren't good at running. They better in the water. And likewise, when they met you, they knew you were great in the water and you can't stand running. So don't change that person.
I
That's the part
married
where you said
you.
about it,
I ma-
accept, right?
yeah, I married you doesn't mean that I'm gonna start eating pork. You knew I didn't married you. What do you think I'm gonna
Yeah,
start now? No.
yeah.
You have
And
to
it would be wrong
adjust,
for you to put that
adapt,
on
and
them.
accept me. Man, you put
And it
that
would be
on my
wrong for you to
plate,
put
you
that
might
on
get
them.
divorced. You might get a divorce because I told you I don't eat pork.
Yeah.
Come on.
so can I ask you a question? I like what you guys said. I'm thinking about the love part where
Hmm.
the focus on love is to me. I feel like it should be the one where you kind of focus on, like when you're together. It's like if I love you, you love me. I understand that you might have these problems or whatever, these qualms, and I might have mine. But the thing is, I
Hmm.
love you. That's why we get to the point. That's why I ask you your hand in marriage. It don't even matter about this other stuff. I don't even see it right now. But once, or like Dave said, once you got the ring on, it's like, are you now pinpointing because You're one. Y'all was independent. Now you're a team, and now you're saying, you know what? I don't like the way you dribble. You don't dribble right. It's
Honest with
I'm
you,
going to
brother.
basketball refs like you're separate.
Don't nitpick though. You shouldn't have
You
put them on
shouldn't
the
nitpick.
team.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
scouted them and you saw how they dribbled.
Exactly. So why are we going this route? If I ask you your hand in marriage and now I'm nitpicking or she's nitpicking, it don't that's is that a
So
personal issue?
so Carl, before you answer, that goes back to what we said earlier, Corey. Zenos kept saying you got to have expectations in marriage. I have a base that you're going to be loyal, that you're going to do your best and be faithful. And I agree with that. You've now picked them. They're on your team. They're your star point guard, your star quarterback, and vice versa. Well,
Oh boy.
They should live up to what they were selling. The problem is if you didn't scout them correctly, if you didn't evaluate them correctly, if you overlooked the fact that they weren't a good dribbler, and maybe dribbling is waking up early, or maybe dribbling is putting up their clothes, put stuff back where it came from. If you overlooked all that and you still married them, don't nitpick. Now you can help them course correct and you can love them, but you bet not nitpick because you knew what you were signing up for when you married them. Because if you don't accept them and you start nitpicking over, I'm talking about excessive, right? Then it's almost like you lied just like they did because you lied and said, hey, I'm going to love you and accept you and have
Right.
and hold, right? And now you holding stuff over their head and you're trying to tear them down. And they're like, yo, hold on. You saw me not be a good dribbler when you met me. You had no problem with the clothes, on the bed when you came over for a year. And now all of a sudden you got a problem with the clothes on the bed. So I think there's a limit to
You,
what you can try to enforce. I think you need to let people be themselves. We just have to pick better. But then the other side is if they love you unconditionally, they should want to grow, Corey. They should want to grow. So there's a balance. I'm not saying that you can't say, hey, can we work on it? But you also shouldn't completely expect them to
that
turn into a
sounds that,
different person.
that sounds more like tolerance, number one.
Okay.
And I'm noticing from observation, even people that's not married, but especially people that get married, preference is not the same. And
Wait,
people try to
you
force it.
said you went out.
Have you,
You went out. You said preference is not the
oh,
same?
preference and standard is not the same.
Okay.
And the
Agreed.
thing that people are misinterpreting expectation. The real word that should have been there is you're trying to impose standard. This is my standard. I'm not expecting Destiny to do X, Y, and Z. This is a global standard married people do. A standard is showing each other affection. Okay? What world do we live in
Being
where you get
honest.
married and no affection is there? So we know
Also,
expectation, that's a universal standard.
being honest, being faithful, communicating. There are things you should
Standards.
do. There are things you should do.
It's
And
it's
here's the worst part.
automatic.
And here's the worst part. Don't do it while you're dating and then pull it back when you're married. So when you were dating, you were Mr. Romantic. You brought flowers. You communicated. The woman said, I'm sorry. Now you get married. The man ain't buying flowers. He's not romantic. The woman never says she's sorry. Ain't nobody talking. But when y'all were dating, it was all lovey dovey. It was, roses and everybody
No,
talked
no, no,
about
no, no,
everything.
no,
And
no, 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 no. There's a reason for this now.
mm,
For the most part, it is now I'm here. I know what I thought. I know what I had the plan in my head. Give an example. When you're a young man, you dream of being, let's say you dream of being a police officer. Now you're a cop and you're in the middle of a shootout.
yeah.
There's a you say, yo, I wish I wasn't here. You understand? Or give you that second guess type thing. So for men or women, this is how you was during the dating phase. because it was comfortable. You knew I don't have to put up with you. I so leave you alone or give you a phone call, text, and say it's over. But when you're married, oh, wait a minute. Now it costs money to get rid of you. It's a different playing field. You're actually in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as simple as when you. So that little shock value, it changes you because you didn't know that you can handle that responsibility till it, bam,
Yeah.
hit you in the face.
Yeah.
Are you ready
Okay.
now? The hell with your dreams, your thought, your fantasies, or what you thought when you was a little boy or little girl. This is reality.
Mm-hmm.
You're
Mm-hmm.
here.
Look,
Just go
y'all.
back. Hold on, real quick. Just go
Yeah.
back and remember the first time. Remember, y'all too. The first time y'all said to somebody, "I am Mister. I am Mrs." It was awkward. Even signing y'all name. Damn, it's actually happening. Right,
Yeah.
Destiny? I mean, really, how long did it take you to say and sign? Sometimes you gotta catch yourself. Yo, this is
Mhm.
real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I remember.
So
They said Mr. and Mrs. Leslie, right? And we left the altar, all that stuff, and we kissed. And when we went to the back, they had food for us, food and a couple of glasses of wine and water and stuff like that. And man, I remember getting back to Carl, and I was like, "Wow, we're married." Now, mind you, I've done it. I've done this before. I've done this before 20 some odd years ago, but it still was like a
it's
wow
not the
moment. It
same.
still it
Not
still
the
was like
same.
wow. Like, and then on top of it, like y'all said, this is the woman of my dreams, everything I wanted. So and y'all and think about it, y'all. I'm an older husband. I'm single 16 years. People have ridiculed me on the internet. You never gonna find what you want. God gives me everything I want. And now it's happening, Carl. The day is here. Everybody
It's
there.
no
Everybody
different
there.
than it's dating versus living with somebody.
Right.
Dating was different, but now, wait a minute.
Right.
This is our home. We live
Yeah.
together. Forget about
Mhm.
marriage. Just living together is a shock
Yeah.
value. People you
Rent. You
stuff
can't
around.
you can't just be like, I'm going home. I'm going home. No, I pay rent
Uh-huh.
here.
Right.
Hey, combined incomes. Combined incomes. You can't just up and take a trip no
Yo,
more. You gotta look at the account and check stuff.
the
Like, wait a
reality
minute.
thing
Can we do this?
that I must say, reality is the most scariest thing to most people.
Yeah.
Reality, not what they think, not what they feel, not what they dream, or even what they plan. It's the reality.
Carl,
Reality.
my homeboys asked me, Dave, you ready to go back into the Matrix? They call marriage the Matrix. You ready to go back into the Matrix?
Listen,
Yeah,
listen,
yeah, I'm
listen.
ready, man.
I'm gonna be honest with you. There's no way in the world you can have generational wealth without marriage. There's
Yeah,
no way in
I
the
agree.
world that if you're sick in the ICU, damn it, I love the fact that somebody's willing to wipe the crap from my behind if I'm sick.
Hmm.
There's no better. Come on,
Yeah,
with
somebody's gonna pray for you
Destiny. I'm not trying to
when you
make it
need it.
grossed out. I'm not trying to gross Destiny out, but I'm just saying that it's that type of commitment that says, I would do everything and anything for you
Yeah,
unconditionally.
yeah. Hey, y'all.
That's it. That's if you pick the right one.
Now we could do an
Man,
entire we
you
can do
ever
an
hit the
entire
lottery?
show. We can do an entire show on picking properly. And that goes on both sides. The men got to pick better, and the women got to choose and accept better. Hey, we almost did 2 hours. I'm gonna go ahead and rock out. I know when my wife's getting sleepy. I can see it.
Yeah, she
She's
wiped
like,
her
baby, I'm
little.
tired.
Yeah.
Yeah, she tired. And I'm tired too. Carl, thanks for joining, man. Coming in the middle of the show. Corey, thanks for being here the
No
whole
problem, brother.
time.
Salute. I'm glad to see y'all two doing this together and many more. Like, I listen, you know me, I got y'all back. So,
Man, appreciate it. Appreciate it. Hey, Corey, man, we'll see you on the next episode. Carl, keep an eye out. I'll see you on the next episode. Babe, I'm looking forward to
of
you
course,
being on
brother.
more episodes. All right. So we're gonna rock out,
Yeah,
y'all.
man.
It's After Dark, man. I appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all go to YouTube and subscribe. All right, subscribe, man. We in here. It's Dave Life, man. I'll see y'all on the next episode. All right, peace.